Welcome to the Swis Jon Show. On tonight's show, what do we have lined up for you? We have
Nice pleasant evening until they decide to start talking shit. You might have just let that horn just keep going all fucking night. Because I'm not going to freaking stop. You're not going to be able to hear anything else. All right?
Perfect. Wait, we can see a case of heart attack.
Come and get it! 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 You won't regret it in 2022 at Tip Top Snack Bar!
Hello and good evening to another episode of the Swis Jon Show. Swis, unfortunately, is absent tonight and also yesterday. And I've just discovered something which excited me. So I thought that I would go solo for tonight. But I'm going to be posting the link just right now, just in case that somebody wants to join me. So let me tell you right in advance, we know that our audience usually consists of men of all ages, so the ladies are certainly underrepresented. I'm not talking about you, Mrs. Higgins. So the topic tonight will be mostly about ladies' watches. I'm planning to feature one man's watch, and that will be the exception. So just be warned. I hope that it's going to be interesting for you guys. I'm pretty sure it's going to be interesting for you girls. I'm taking a risk of alienating most of our audience, and I take that risk because what I'm going to show you today was very exciting for me in the last couple of days, and I just didn't want to miss it. So just as a little introduction, many people know my watch, my watch for love, know my love for watches, and this is how I started back in 1985. I started a career with a high-end jeweler that carried Rolex, Patek Philippe, AP, and all the fancy brands. And of course, I joined because I wanted to deal with the Rolex watches that I was fancying over. I wanted to handle, to own the watch that was owned by Magnum PI, by James Bond, and by a mountain climber called Reinhold Messner. So that was my motivation to enter the world of watches and jewelry. We also had jewelry, but traditionally the watch stuff was for the guys and the jewelry stuff was for the girls, and I was not an exception. Then much later, I've continued my journey with a very high-end jeweler, and one of my objectives was to enforce their watch department because it was underrepresented. And so I went to a mainly jewelry focused shop, and I learned a tremendous amount about jewelry back then. I learned to appreciate all kind of gemstone set jewelry and watches. And tonight it's going to be a little bit more about it. So I just wanted to explain where I'm coming from. I wouldn't have imagined that I would be really interested in jewelry when I started my career, and I'm pretty sure many of you guys are focused on watches and have a hard time imagining or dealing with jewelry. And I just want to tease you a little bit and to introduce you in the beautiful world of jewelry and gemstones. Yeah, now I lost track because yes. So then very much later I joined YouTube, and one of the reasons why I personally joined YouTube was that I had a hard time when other YouTubers were talking about brands like Piaget, like Breguet. And it's not long time ago that also Lange was part of the club, and those were all called shitters. They were called shitters because they suck in resale value. The secondary market values dropped, and labeling all those brands as or watches of a certain brand as shitters really got me upset, and that was one of the reasons why I entered the watch YouTube world, just to give a little bit more context, because I said I started in 1985, a long time ago, and I witnessed for example, a brand like Omega struggling after the quartz crisis terribly. Awful watch range, and fortunately they recovered, but back then Omega were on their knees, and so were many other companies. A little bit later, or a little bit earlier, a company like Piaget was a big hit and a very important player, and that faded a little bit then over the years. But I know those brands right from the beginning. I know the history. I appreciate their products right from the beginning. And so I'm having a hard time calling established watch companies like Girard-Perregaux or like Piaget shitters, because I know that they've been creating so great items, and I have deep respect for them. And everybody has the right to struggle. It's important that they stand up and keep on doing what they want to do. So before I continue, I would like to go a little bit on in the comments. By the way, this solo format is really not my comfort zone. Maybe you're hearing that from my stumbling. So I invite again anybody who wants to join. I posted the link before. Just join me on this difficult trip if you want. So in the comments we have Danger Will Robinson. Hello, very good to see you. He makes a Napoleon Solo reference. I've heard it before, but I failed to give the context. Probably it's some cartoon or some stuff. Yeah, Man from U.N.C.L.E. Okay, Man from U.N.C.L.E. I've never watched, so I can't help you there, Danger, but I'm pretty sure you're right. So we have Boxster 1200. That is an interesting username, because there was a BMW motor bike in my youth that had a Boxer engine with 1,200 cubic centimeters. So I'm pretty sure this Boxer 1200 name is a reference to this incredible motorbike. We have my friend from Hawaii, Aloha Spi Hernandez. Good to see you. And yes, those are the guys that are currently on. we had 6 viewers. Now it dropped to 4 viewers. Now that Mrs. Higgins says hello. So yeah, hello. So 1985. Did I bump into you at a few Doro Pesch and Warlock concert? Doro Pesch was a hot chick back then, probably the hottest in that world. Warlock, I'm not really familiar with. Okay, so let's start with tonight's highlighted show, and I'm trying to share the link. 1 second. Share screen. Okay. So many of you guys may know that my second home is Hong Kong. Hong Kong has been closed now for 3 years and is slowly opening up. And there, in my opinion, there were 2 spectacular auctions, and the one that is still running, I would like to feature tonight. And this auction is named Important Watches Part 2. It is an online auction, so you could place your bid online. And many parts of this incredible collection, and I'm mostly featuring just the front page. The page number 1 is from the estate of an important lady, and that of course catched my fantasy and my interest. So knowing a little bit about Hong Kong, Hong Kong is a former colony of the UK, went to China in 1997. It is a main capital, and with 8 million people living there, and there is a class of super ultra rich people that can afford everything. Most of the wealth comes from real estate or from finance, or from owning factory sites in the mainland of China. So there are some really wealthy people, even more wealthy than our friend Wizard. Yeah, Hong Kong was for a very long time the watch capital of the world. That has something to do with the hedonism that is deep rooted in Hong Kong Chinese people. Hedonism means that you're not shy to show your wealth, and you certainly see that by the amount of Rolls-Royce cars that are driving around there. And if you look into jewelers' windows, you see an incredible amount of jewel-crusted watches, where you always ask, who the hell is buying this? And apparently this important lady was an avid collector of those watches and is now unloading them. I hope that she's still alive and she's just selling those watches for charity. I don't know the lady. I would love to have a talk with her. I would also love to have a look into the warranty papers of the watches, because I'm asking myself, was she buying them from one single watch shop or jeweler, or was she shopping around the city? What drove her for the collection? She certainly has a very expensive taste, very good taste in my opinion, and in my opinion there are some very interesting watches that I'm going to feature. So the first one in this particular auction is this beautiful Breguet Reine de Naples. I'm missing Swiss already because I can't really properly pronounce it in French. So Reine de Naples, she was a sister of Napoleon, and she was basically the princess or the reign of the city and the area of Naples. So that is a name. And Abraham Louis Breguet made a watch for her. He made a couple of them. and many people say that was around 1798 or something. So many people say that this was the first wristwatch. I know that Cartier claims that the Santos was the first wristwatch. I'll let watch historics decide in which categories right now. But in a very early stage, Breguet made those egg-shaped wristwatches for this lady. And here you see basically the crown jewel of the Breguet Reine de Naples collection, which is just insanely covered with diamonds. Unfortunately, they're not saying how many diamonds or what the grand total of the diamonds is, if I see correctly. What I find interesting is the description, because they're mentioning a mobile setting. So this is not fixed, and if you watch closely to the watch, you can see that that part of those watches, the alignment of the diamonds is irregular. So apparently there are a lot of moving parts, and the sheer amount of jewels is just astounding, and, in my opinion, very interesting. It's all a matter of taste, but Breguet apparently managed to get a large amount of diamonds here on this watch. Interesting, I found the setting. So we have a look at the rear part of the watch, and here you can see a fixed setting, which covers part of that outer ring. And I would guess, or you can see it from those hooks here inside, that many of those diamonds are then set moving. So I think it's a very, or I'm pretty sure it's a very lively and very interesting appearance if someone is wearing this kind of watch with the corresponding wardrobe. I'm pretty sure this is not a watch that you use for grocery shopping. You see that beautiful small movement. Breguet says that it's their exclusive own movement for lady watches. I'm a little bit suspicious that it may be related to the Blancpain Ladybird movement. Both Breguet and Blancpain belong to the Swatch group, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're sharing the same architecture or the same movement. So what I find interesting is the estimate. They said 200,000 to 300,000 Hong Kong dollars, and the current bid is 750,000. Just a rough estimate. So 200,000 Hong Kong dollars would equal to roughly 28,000 Hong Kong dollars, and the current bid is at 750,000, which I would correlate then to like 90,000. For sure, this watch was probably 300,000-400,000 retail, and that shows that those pieces, those high-end pieces, are pretty bad on the secondary market. So if someone really wants to buy them, he may be out for a bargain, although that is now higher than the estimate, which is interesting, has already 18 bids. Okay, any more questions? Yeah, a general philosophical question that I'm not able to reply to at the moment is how Hong Kong Chinese usually opine to used watches or jewelry. I know that if somebody has a relatively okay income, one of their first targets is to own a Rolex watch, and a Rolex watch is a sign in Hong Kong that you made it to modest wealth. So you're part of a higher class But Rolex is very common, and that shows you just by the fact that the city of Hong Kong has like 60 Rolex ADs. Of course, no stock there as well. So that goes to the heavy hitters. So I'm not really sure how Hong Kong Chinese regard secondhand jewelry, if that gives some bad vibe, or if it brings bad luck, or if it's okay to own such a piece secondhand. I'm curious how that auction will go. Okay, long boring stuff. Now let's move on to the second piece, which I found really interesting. This is the first time of a long time that I've heard this particular watch brand, Waltham, or Waltham. That is an American-based company, very old. They used to make pocket watches, watch components. They have a big factory. As far as I know, they're not really operative anymore. So I was a little bit surprised to see such a high-end hitter with this brand names. So the watch is estimated in 1991. So it has been sold 30 years ago. So that may explain that probably Waltham back then was a name that sold. Certainly not for today, but it's a super interesting watch because it has more than 80 carats of stones, and the sheer number of stones is just astounding. There are diamond baguettes all over the place, and they're just amazingly done. And just for your information, those stones have to be so-called calibrated. So that means when those stones are cut, usually it is like cutting a steak. So if you cut a steak, the butcher usually tries to get to save as much weight as possible, and that is the same with diamonds. If a diamond cutter is cutting a diamond, he's trying to save as much weight, so to cut as little off from the weight as possible, because diamonds are sold also by weight, and of course you're trying to get the highest amount of weight. But with those watches, that wouldn't work. So they are buying calibrated jewels, and those calibrated jewels are cut to size. So no matter how much you cut off, your goal is just to achieve a certain size, just to match the watch perfectly. And that is an art of itself. We're gonna come back later when Chopard is mentioned. What I also find interesting is the rear side of this particular watch. I'm not sure if that is a mistake, because it is beautifully engraved case back. Yeah, beautifully engraved, but it seems to be upside down. Not sure if the photographed watch is photographed upside down, or if someone inspected the movement and just fitted the case back upside down. That I don't know. Another thing that I would like to point to is the transparent rear side when you set diamonds, and that has a reason. For someone who is from outside of the jewelry business, maybe they are asking why not cover those rear sides of the stones up. It may look a little bit nicer than those frames, but there is a purpose, and it is simply when you're cleaning those diamonds, there is a cleaning fluid entering from the front side. So if you close those rear sides, first of all, you have a hard time to manually clean the rear side of the stone, and secondly, that cleaning solvent will not be able to rinse off properly. So you will have remaining stains then on the remaining material. So you keep that open. You can use a soft toothbrush to clean those stones from the behind. Then you put it into ultrasonic. Then you clean it. Then you dry it, and everything is perfect. That you can't do if you cover those stones from behind. So yeah, we're seeing here this 80.994 carats approximately. The watch is estimated with a laughable 100 to 150,000 Hong Kong dollars, so below 20,000 US dollars. That's really insane. And the current bid is already by 550,000, which is 65,000 US dollars. I would say if you would try to buy a similar watch at today's prices, you will have to pay more than 1 million for sure. So it will be interesting how much this watch sells at the end. Do we have any questions in the comments? Because comments seem to be quiet. So I'm pulling now the third lot of this auction, also estate of an important lady. And here now we come to Piaget watches. And Swis particularly mentioned that on a previous show. This is basically what Piaget is really famous for. So those are high-end jewelry watches with top quality stones, top quality setting, and this is basically Piaget that they are known for. Let me check. It was circa 1980s. This watch is estimated. So those were the golden days for Piaget after the wars. And the people recovered, and there have been some very rich people out there, and then they were buying those high-end watches. And Piaget back then was a high-end super luxury product, particularly for the ladies, and particularly with those gemstones. And you just can see it from the making. Also, the dial is made of a kind of how do you say, a net of diamonds. So those are all little cubes or cylinders that carry the diamonds, and those are then welded or soldered together. It's just an amazing amount of work. And keep in mind that that dial is really thick, so you have to bring that into a watch case then as well. And you can see here the custom cut stones to then follow this particular curvature. So usually the process is they try to insert a stone, it doesn't fit, you unset it, you give it to the diamond cutter, it's gonna be recut until it fits. Then you try again. If it doesn't fit properly, you give it back to the diamond cutter, and so on until this structure and this shape is then perfectly made. Another art, and I will say that a little bit later, is to calibrate those rubies by color, because natural rubies have all different shades of red, and certainly with such a design, it's important that the tone of the red of the stone is really constant. Yeah, Mrs. Higgins says, I wonder if a very rich lady passed away recently. I wonder if she's really from Hong Kong, or if the Sotheby's just chose to use Hong Kong as the place for this kind of auction, because the demand, or that because it hits the taste of Hong Kong people. So it doesn't have to be necessarily someone from Hong Kong, but I would guess that those are domestic market, Hong Kong domestic market items, and we will see that a little bit later when we go to Frank Müller. So I'm going to hop on now a little bit quicker because we are already half an hour and I don't want to bore you guys. I see I have only 6 people watching. That was expected, but thank you very much for everybody else standing by. It is an experiment. I've just found my love for this auction. So we have here a watch from a company called Adler. Adler is a German name for eagle. I have no idea about the company. I see that it's a very expensive piece. I wonder if that company still exists. By the way, Waltham that I mentioned earlier doesn't exist anymore. So I would say Adler, even from that boring logo, I'm pretty sure the company doesn't exist. And I wonder what is the story behind, because I don't know Adler for making those high-end luxury jewelry watches. But it's a very interesting piece because apparently they managed to match the color of the diamonds really well, and that is an art of itself. You see the calibrated stones again, so that the sizes fit of those triplets. So yeah, beautiful watch. So let's have a look at the current bid: 120,000 Hong Kong dollars, around 15,000 US dollars, which is an absolute steal if you're willing to overlook the brand name, which is really dodgy. So just like I said before, those settings are kept open just to make it possible to clean them better. And apparently a quartz movement, because you can see here that that button for a corrector. So apparently it's a quartz movement. Okay, let's move on to the next one that interested me. I'm not going to go step by step. I'm just going for the pieces that interested me, and I promise you that it will be not longer than 1 hour. So we are almost halfway there. So I take this watch as an example for what Piaget really was, or what Piaget really stands for. And those are just those fancy, crazy designs for ultra-rich people who wear it then with very formal dresses. And that is Piaget at their best. So the watch basically, until the first raw next to the dial, is a traditional diamond crusted ladies watch, but then you have those flexible kind of feathers that end in triangles, and that is just a very extravagant design, and that is what Piaget is really famous for. And you may understand a little bit better now why I'm having so much trouble to call that a shitter. So now you may ask, why is it here covered? You just said that it's easier to clean that way. Yes, but we are talking here about round stones, so the liquid can easily enter the setting. So here you can do it. I personally still prefer the open back, because you simply can't clean those stones from behind. So the cleaning solvent is the only thing that helps you to keep those jewels clean. So Mrs. Higgins says you can only wear this watch on your left hand. I would disagree, Mrs. Higgins. Maybe you remember very elegant ladies wearing kind of gloves with little feathers or something like that, or with a little fur. And I could imagine those kind of feathers just touching a glove, for example, maybe with a fur. And I think it would look good on the left hand. I also could imagine that it would look good on a right hand, so that the feathers are going on the other way. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily one thing or the other. So Dangerable Robinson says maybe it's just me, but if I'm encrusting a watch with diamonds, the least I can do is provide an automatic movement. I feel quartz cheapens it. Good point, Danger, but there are two buts. First of all, those are watches from the 1980s till 2010s. And particularly in the 1980s and 1990s, nobody had those reservations against quartz movements just like we have today. Secondly, there were simply not enough mechanical movements in that size. Keep in mind, those are tiny movements, and so the only possible movement of that size back then was that ultra mini Gégé Le Coultre movement that was mechanical hand wound. Now, if you're talking to an elegant lady who wears that maybe once a year or maybe once a decade, I don't think that she really cares if it's a quartz watch or a mechanical watch. Maybe she doesn't want to be bothered, but then if you wear it every decade, you have to change the battery before you wear the watch. So yeah, I think those high-end jewelry watches are quartz for a reason, particularly with ladies' watches. But in the 1990s, 1980s, also those super elegant men's watches were quartz without many exceptions. So Danger says, you and your butts. I'm not sure what he's referring to. But, yeah, my butt. Yeah, I said butt. Yeah, okay. Good. So the current bid, 220,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is a little bit less than 30,000 US dollars. Again, if you buy this kind of watch today, I'm pretty sure you're gonna pay 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 at least. So somebody's out for a bargain. By the way, those diamond encrusted watches have a very practical advantage. Many of us are afraid of getting their watches scratched. Keep the stickers on. Well, if you have a diamond encrusted watch just like that, you don't have to be really afraid of scratches, because those diamonds will catch those obstacles, and diamond is the hardest substance known to man. So you will have a difficult time to scratch those diamonds. And if you break one, you just put in a new one and the watch is perfect again. So we dropped to 4 viewers. Very good sign, but I'll keep on torturing you guys. So another watch that is just Piaget pure, diamond crusted with a big heart, and I think mother of pearl dial. Just an amazing, very brave design, I would say. But the crazier the design is, you will find someone. And yeah, I found it really interesting. 140,000 Hong Kong dollars, less than 20,000 US. And I'm going to check the auction results tomorrow. I think I'm going to post the link. I think you have to be signed up with Sotheby's to check the auction results. But here's the link to the auction. I posted it in the comments, so feel free to make a reality check how much those watches really brought. So we have here a beautiful triangular watch. Very eccentric, very bold design again. Year was 2010, so not really long time ago. So I'll drop that Piaget, and I would like to move over to Chopard. And I think Chopard is also one brand that is often labeled as a shitter. So Chopard, let's see which year that is. That is 2000, so 20 years old. So Chopard made, and I think they still make it, a watch called the Ice Cube. Yeah, the triangle on the yellow strap is cool. So P.D. Hernandez, I totally agree. I think there are a lot of cool watches, although I'm not into ladies' watches. And I think it's just interesting where those watch companies are coming from. And they came a very long way. And it just gives you a little bit more understanding and probably a little bit more respect for those brands. Okay, so Chopard Ice Cube. And yeah, well, it's a cube. And the cube motif or signature is all over there. So those rubies are perfectly matched into color. And of course, you have then the ruby cubes. And the dial consists of cubic diamonds, which is very hard to make. And keep in mind, those stones have a certain depth, so it's difficult to have a movement that beautifully set baguette or emerald cut dial, and then the hands, and then the crystal. So it is not easy to make such a watch. So I said the calibration of the rubies is really outstanding, and Chopard is very famous and very good at that. What caught me on this particular watch is the side view. No, first of all, let's have a look at the rear view. Have a look at this. So even the case back is pavé, fully set. Pavé means stone on stone. So those are round stones, which a little bit contradicts the concept of the cubic. But yeah, may have been too thick, or I don't know why Chopard chose to do the round pavés. But when is the last time that you've seen a case back fully pavé set? So apparently this watch has also been worn from the lining of that satin strap. You can see that it has been worn, which is really nice. But again, you don't have to care too much about scratches, because rubies and diamonds are really hard and tough. What I really liked is that side view, which has a double row of cubic rubies also on the side. So no expenses being saved. It's just a super luxury, interesting watch that is very unique. Price currently 16,000 Hong Kong dollars, around 20,000 US dollars. I'm losing my my voice, Mrs. Higgins. Maybe you can come halfway and bring me some water. I'm just muting myself for half a minute. Have a little water to drink, and then we continue. Thank you very much for waiting. Let me have a drink. I just asked my wife on the way, well, it's not as boring as you thought, and she just said, well, it's not more boring than usual. So I'm on a good path. Okay. So let's continue. What else did I see here? I like that Bulgari watch. Also from the same lady, and that is called the Berries watch. And you can see from the different colors of those stones, the berries theme is there. Interesting, a jumping hour and a retrograde minute display. So not only in jewels they put some effort in, but also from the watch side. So let's have a look here at the side. Also the side flanks are covered with diamonds, and the rotor of the movement is quite unique. So they put some effort into this watch. 2019, so pretty recent. So the next watch that I wanted to show you is one by Chanel. Mademoiselle Privé. And it shows a Phoenix. What year are we talking? 2017, so quite recent. Many of you know that I'm a fan of enamel dials. Here we have an enamel dial with a kind of micro painting, which I found very unique and very beautiful. So I wanted to share this particular watch with you. Micro painting and art of itself. I wonder who made that for Chanel. I doubt that they really have the artists to do this kind of dials. But you can also see here from the side, beautiful pavé diamond work. Here you don't see calibrated stones, so stones of all sizes, which then combines to this rounded surface. So before we are losing any more numbers, viewers, I would like to move to Frank Müller. So Frank Müller in Hong Kong is still very big and still very popular. And I wanted to show you this one. It is also a state of an important lady, so it's still the same collector. And you can see here this watch with a dragon motif. I see it as a dragon motif. I think it's also called dragon, yeah, with deception of a dragon. And that leads me to someone from China, because the dragon is a mystic creature, and Chinese people highly respect the dragon. And so we have another dragon oriented watch in this collection. So my guess is that this lady collector is really from Hong Kong or from China. And yeah, I just like how, just keep in mind, the work on the case is totally different than the work on the dial. So you must make sure that at the end, when those parts are assembled, everything fits and everything makes sense. So it's not that easy to combine those two elements of a watch. So it's very unique, but apparently everything that crazy finds a buyer, because those have been bought by that important lady. So let me just, yeah, here we have another dragon. Exactly, yes. I have here a dragon trilogy. So same estate, Frank Müller again doing dragons. Same concept here. The dial then merges over to the case with this enamel work. Quite unique, quite neat. Not really European taste, but apparently selling. At the moment, the current bid is 100,000 Hong Kong dollar, which is like 13,000 US probably. So still a bargain. And I'm pretty sure for this type of watch, Hong Kong is the perfect place to be. I think nowhere else can you sell those kind of watches better than in Hong Kong. So the third of that dragon trilogy is then this one in white gold. Similar dragon pattern, and also the dragon motif then merges from the dial to the case. 42,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is less than 6,000 US. Even one raw of pavé diamonds on the sides. Okay, so another Frank Müller that caught my eyes. Oh, we have another dragon here, but I'm not gonna bore you. Another Frank Müller that I personally really like is the Color Dreams, with that dial with the different colored numbers, but that's not everybody's taste. But what I found interesting is the Crazy Hours. I think it's named Crazy Hours, yes, and that is that one. So you see that those numbers here are now random on the dial, and that has a reason, because on every hour change, the hour hand jumps then to the next hour, so to the next hour, but in this case from 10 then to 11, which is on the other side of the dial. So here you can see 10 past 10, but 10 past 11 looks totally different. So you will need some time to adopt to this kind of time display. So the name says it's all Crazy Hours because the hours jump like crazy, and you have to adopt your way of reading the time, and I find that very interesting. So Benjamin Robinson says Federico would love those Frank Müllers. I'm not sure. Federico from Delray Watches probably. I think he's heavily involved with Frank Müller, but I don't know anything further. Okay, so what else do we have? That, by the way, also can be used as a men's watch. So we have the first men's watch. Yeah, Piaget also was very famous for those opal dials. I'm just covering it briefly. So those opal dials with those diamond navettes, they are called, is also a specialty. Has been in the 1980s, 1990s. That watch is 1970s. So current bid 160,000 Hong Kong dollars, so 20,000 US. Buying such a watch today will be 120, 150 probably. Okay, then we have here this Rolex Cellini with a rose jasper dial, which I find really very feminine, very nice watch made. Never seen a Cellini like that. I think it's still, is that lady or no, it's not the lady anymore. It's not the important lady. It's collection. So I promised you guys a men's watch, a couple of Rolex, recent Rolex. So it's only interesting how the prices will be. Oh yes, we have here a men's watch, which I really like, and that is a limited edition Grand Seiko that was exclusively sold in the Ginza store, the main store of Seiko. It is the Tiffany green dial. The pattern has been used on another watch, and this should represent a map of central Tokyo, if I'm not wrong. I've been speaking about this case previously. The case doesn't have a true bezel, and that is the special thing about this case, which is called 40 44GS, that is the description of this particular case without a bezel. It has the new high beat movement that has been introduced by Grand Seiko not very long time ago. Let me see. No, that is a lie. That is the old one. That is the old high beat. Okay, so it's the old high beat, but in a beautiful Tiffany blue to cash in of this. I know that the watch immediately sold out, and you can see it from the price. If I remember correctly, it was like 8,000 US dollars. Current bid is 85,000 Hong Kong dollars, so already over retail. And I'm very curious where this will go. Let's check the condition report, but the condition report of Sotheby's is really bad. Movement is working condition. Please note that the movement has not been tested. And then they say, we are not professional repairers and restorers and blah, blah, blah. So I would love to have a better condition report on many of those watches. So I'm not sure if this watch has been previously worn. I can't see it really. From that edge, I would say it's even polished a little bit later, but it could be also a reflection. So I would inspect this watch very closely, because, you know, Zaratsu polishing must be really sharp. Okay. I think we have another man's watch, and then I'm gonna close the show. We have here Patek Philippe. Not gonna bore you with those beautiful Cartier watches. And kind of here another Dragon Cartier. Mentioned that earlier. So where is, I think I missed it, because there is a Zenith that I find interesting, and we haven't covered that. Bear with me. Yeah, here it is. Zenith Defy Inventor. So that is a very extravagant watch that I wanted to cover for some seconds. And 1 second. So the Defy Inventor is the follow-up of a watch that they called the Defy Lab. And we have been talking about escapements and so on. And Zenith kind of revolutionized the kind that the escapement is done. And they are using a very fancy piece to replace the traditional escapement. 1 second, let me check. Share screen. Here we have, yeah. So they have a special constructed piece that is vibrating behind the dial, and I'm going to show you videos so that you can see it. But basically, what is really, it goes down to those two little teeth that you see here. So it's all made in silicium, and of course, very complex process. But you can do those crazy things in silicium. And those two tooth are basically the two jewels on the pallet fork. So those are part of the anchor that then pull on a kind of escapement wheel, which I'm going to show you just in a second. So just keep in mind those two tooth that go into this little sun-shaped wheel here on above 6 o'clock. So here you can see those two little tooth. I think there is a second one down here, and that basically controls that little wheel, which is the escapement wheel in a traditional escapement. So why is that so special? The frequency that this thing is doing is over 100,000 vibrations per hour. A high beat movement is doing 36,000. So Zenith tried to make that temperature constant. Having a higher frequency usually results then in a higher precision. And there is a video that I hope we can show here. Here you can see that silicium part, and here you can see the vibration of that thing, and that vibration only has a purpose in controlling that little escapement wheel. I'm going to play it again. Here you can see the wheel really rotating fast. Oh, we have Design Atelier here in the house. Greetings from Aruba. Greetings to Aruba. Thank you very much for stopping by. So yes. Ooh, Design Atelier is going to join the AP design competition. There's an AP design competition, and I think the winner is getting his watch custom made by them. I don't have the skills or the fantasy, but I'm pretty sure you're the right guy. Would you be ready to share your drafts that you didn't send to AP, but because I'm pretty sure if you send a draft to AP, that must be secret, so you can't show that there. So maybe you show us your second and third best. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to this Zenith Defy watch, which is here on auction. Defy Inventor, as I said, it was a little bit the improvement of the first one and the commercialized thing. As far as I know, those watches retail $20,000 US. Now the current bid is like $6,000 US, which is still decent and a pretty good value. Let all submittals get in first. I don't know what you mean, Danger. Okay, so yes, so that was basically what I wanted to do tonight. Just show you some extravagant jewelry watches, which is usually not our thing. But I was just excited to see those pieces, and it just reaffirmed. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Danger Will Robinson has a good point. We don't want anyone copying off Jason's design. So maybe, Jason, you just share it with us after the deadline was, so that nobody's copying you and just takes over your creativity and your drafts. Okay, now I get it, Danger. Yes, so yes, this auction begins closing tomorrow, 10 o'clock Hong Kong time, which is quite early. So if you want to bid, you must bid pretty early. It's now 5 hours and 51 minutes until the lots begin closing, and then it's moving really quick. So just in case that you want to bid, there is not much time left. I'm posting the link to the auction again, just in case that somebody wants to follow the prices or have a look at one or the other piece for sale too. So yes, this is basically, I'm finished. If no one here from the comments doesn't have any questions or remarks, I will close the show very soon with a clip of our sponsor, of course. I hope that you enjoyed it a little bit. Thank you very much for standing by and sitting through this thing. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next one, and I hope that Swis will be back very soon and being a little bit less crowded with work. So let me check if I find the correct trailer.
Hey, what the hell? This StreamYard is really doing my head in. What the fuck is going on? Shit. Since I'm here, guys, I might as well come and get it! 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 You won't regret it in 2022 at Tip Top Snack Bar!